Hi there, it's Debbie from Celestial Astrology Healing, and today this is part two of my lunar eclipse and solar eclipse video. So I will be covering the signs of Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces at the end of this video. So thanks for watching. I am a Western whole sign consulting astrologer using the tropical zodiac and the whole sign house system. So I have great pleasure in sharing people's personal birth charts. And today I'm joining together interpretations of the lunar eclipse on the 25th of March, 2024, and the solar eclipse 2 weeks later on the 8th of April, 2024, and looking at where these Aries and Libra dynamics are in your birth chart. And at the time of this lunar eclipse, it will be bringing topics to fruition that maybe started at the first solar eclipse last October the 14th, because these eclipses continue in waves. So let me just share a little image and then we can continue on with the Libran ascendant sun or moons. So if you're new to my channel, then welcome. I'm Debbie. I usually put out videos every new moon and full moon, and sometimes in between times. So yeah, press the subscribe button if you'd like to hear more of my astrological offerings. You can put a comment below also if any of this resonates with you. So without seeing your own personal birth chart, this is a general reading across where the Libran and Aries axes are in your chart. So here we can see a beautiful image showing a lunar eclipse and what happens at the time of a lunar eclipse. The Earth is situated between the sun and the moon, causing some of the Earth's shadow to fall upon the moon. And there are different types of lunar eclipses. They can be total, partial, and penumbral or apulse, which is the case for this one. And so wherever the Libran house is in your own personal birth chart and the Aries house, this is where these dynamics have been happening since October the 14th, 2023, and they will continue until April the 29th, 2025, across these same dynamics. And if you use the whole sign house system, which is what I use now, you look at where your ascendant is, and whatever sign is on the ascendant, that creates the whole first house cusp. And then you can see where Aries and Libra are in your birth chart. I just have another image here. Whoops. This is a solar eclipse here, just where the light is being blocked out. So the solar principle is the masculine principle, and the lunar principle is our feminine principles in life. The yang, the yin and the yang. And in ancient times, there used to be, as you can imagine, when our ancient ancestors relied upon the light of the sun for their daily living, for gathering wood, for fires, for hunting, for gathering, for any occasions, the reliance upon these luminaries in our daily lives would have been so necessary and essential, and without which life couldn't continue. So whenever there was a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, there was a sense of urgent desperation and perhaps fear, and therefore eclipses have been seen to have that connotation of being doom bringers or some bad omens. But in our modern day life, we can think about these differently and think about, because we have all the other technology and light around us, we can think about endings and beginnings, which are signified by the times of these eclipses. They are certain endings and beginnings that we can't avoid, that come in repeating waves. If you think about being in the sea with sets of waves that you're waiting to sort of bodyboard or surf, if you're that good, across the waves, it's like repeating patterns that continue over about 18 months, which can bring endings and new beginnings, because endings and beginnings are all part of the same cycle of life within our lives, dependent on where these Aries and Taurus axes are in your chart. So let me just bring up the chart of the lunar eclipse first. I'm going to be doing both in this video because I won't have time to do another video in the next couple of weeks. So on the 25th of March, this is set to UK time, 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you're west of this, it might be in the early hours. And if you're east of the UK Greenwich Meridian line, then this may be later in the day, but it's 25th of March, 2024, 7 a.m. Universal Time. So just looking at what's going on in the heavens, at any lunar eclipse, there is an opposition. It's always at full moon. So there's opposition between the sun and the moon is at 5 degrees Libra, 7 minutes, and the sun is in opposition at 5 degrees Aries, 7 minutes. So Libra is an air sign related to the symbol of the scales, about harmony, balance, finding that equilibrium, partnership, relationship, collaboration, the mind. Air is about the mind. Libra is an air sign, a cardinal sign, one of the cardinal signs of the tropical zodiac. At the time of autumn equinox, naturally, if the sun was in Libra. Aries is the opposite, the first sign of the zodiac. And have a look at my spring equinox video, which I've just released a few days ago. Yes, I'm recording this at the day after spring equinox. And we were lucky to sit around a lovely fire last night with some friends in the community, giving thanks for this new time of the year with new beginnings, with Aries being the symbol of the ram, the first sign of the astrological year. So Aries has this youthful, exuberant, fiery, passionate, impatient, impulsive, self-aware energy. And Aries is about the self. So the dynamics of the Aries and Libran axes are very much related to self and your own inner compass of following your own needs, your own drive, and Libra, the axis of shared relationships and values. So this is what I'm going to be looking at, and the interpretations continuing with Leo, because I've already done Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer in part 1. So go back to that one if you are one of those signs. And sorry that my laptop just discharged. I came back to it and answered the door, and suddenly the power was off. And with all Zoom, the recordings, you have to just let them process and update before I can upload it to YouTube. So anyway, I can't even really blame it on Mercury retrograde, because Mercury isn't retrograde, but is slowing down. But maybe it's just me with a sluggish brain. But anyway, I'm doing my best here. So yeah, this is a lunar eclipse in Leo. This is the chart of the lunar eclipse in Leo. And Venus is the ruler of sorry, not Leo, Libra. Here's the sign of Libra here, the scales. And Venus is the ruler of Libra. So I will be going into interpretations of what that means for all of us. And there's Venus up here. She is co-present with Mars, who's just gone into Pisces. She's exalted in Pisces herself. She's just had a conjunction with Saturn in Pisces, and Neptune is also gracing this Piscean flowing waters of the oceans and connecting to all beings. So that's what I'll be looking at today, lunar eclipse. And then I can just go and quickly show you the solar eclipse chart, which I think was coming up earlier. And the solar eclipse 2 weeks later is on the 8th of April, 2024, evening time in the UK, 1620. And at the time of this solar eclipse, again, it's a new beginning. All new moons represent seeds of new intentions to bring forth in the future. And this will be a very powerful solar eclipse, because we have a massive stellium of planets. I'm trying to bring up my annotate tool here. The circle here that I can bring to try and include all these Aryan planets. There we go, I've got them in. Oh no, I haven't, there we are. That's Mercury in there now too. So at the time of the solar eclipse, which will be affecting us all, wherever the Aries house is in our chart, we have the sun exactly conjoined with the moon at 19 degrees 24. And we also have Chiron, the wounded healer, part of the Centurion belt related to healing wounds, exactly cazimi with the sun. So there's something powerful. Usually it's when planets are cazimi, that means on the throne at the same degrees and minutes as the sun. But I am including Chiron because I know that Chiron has very significant power over our lives and energies related to healing wounds. Women that I've worked with, I work with women quite a lot, have Chiron returns around 49, 50 years of age, when we're often going through the perimenopause, and it's about loss of those life-giving maternal skills and things like that in our lives, which are very dynamic at that time. Men obviously have those things going on in a landscape within the yin aspects of their lives too. So Chiron is being given power, extra power, being on the heart of the throne, given power to heal wounds. And also we have the north node of the moon, Rahu, which is about following our dreams and passions and compass points of following our drive in life. We have Venus, the planet of relationships and values, also in Aries, in detriment after having been exalted. And we also have Mercury, the messenger of the gods, retrograde in Aries. So now I will go into the rest of the signs of the zodiac, beginning with Leo. So you can scroll along using the timestamps. And as I've said, if you'd like to like, subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, you can buy me a coffee or press something in the comments bar below. Hi there, Leos. Welcome. This lunar eclipse is happening across your 3rd house and 9th house dynamics, where you can see the sun at 5 degrees 7 minutes in Libra, opposite the sun in Aries at 5 degrees 7 minutes of Aries in your 9th house. So the 3rd house in ancient times was called the house of the goddess and is related to your everyday life, your friendship groups or siblings or people that you would treat as your friends, treat like family in your local neighborhood. They can be distant relatives. And it's also the house of communications and travel, short journeys. And Libra on this house cusp suggests that you want to work in partnership with others, want to come to a sense of harmony and mutual agreement. But this can be quite depleting here because Ketu, the south node of the moon, is also here. So your thoughts may oscillate, whilst trying to work in partnership with others, maybe in your neighborhood. That could be coming to the fore at the time of this full moon. And issues that may have started, or events or seeds that you've planted to germinate around the 14th of October, 2023, at the first solar eclipse in Libra, may be coming to the fore now, coming to some sense of being visible and visible in your life, coming to an ending point perhaps, and letting go of something there. And the dynamic, as I was saying, is opposite Aries in the 9th house, which was known as the house of God, which indicates something around belief systems related to your higher mind that helps you understand your place in the world, your philosophies, with an openness to follow your own inner compass there, because Aries is very much self-motivated. So this is what's going on at the time of this lunar eclipse. And Venus is the ruler of this lunar eclipse. She is exalted in Pisces, which means that she can bring lots of creative, sensitive, compassionate ideas to the table within the 8th house of your shared resources, something to do with how you balance relationship, or what you bring to the table and what others in partnership with you bring to the table in a sense of karmic debt. There can be also blessings of finances here with Venus in this 8th house, because she rules finances. And this is in the 8th house of the esteem of others, which can be related to deaths and endings and inheritances and money that comes in from other sources other than your daily work life. But she is overseeing this lunar eclipse. She is co-present and has recently been in a conjunction with Saturn. So there may have been some reality checks here, or some slowing down, or frustrations, limitations, delays. And Mars has recently ingressed here, which is about how you can apply yourself with energy and assertion. Mars isn't particularly strong in this sign of Pisces, because it's a sign of fish swimming in opposite directions. So there's too much fluidity for Mars. Mars wants to be in his temple of Aries or Scorpio, where he can be dynamic. So here is a guest of Jupiter, who rules Pisces in ancient astrology. And maybe he can develop more compassion towards others, or be more empathic and creative, because that is also the energy of Neptune here. So Venus and Neptune blend together with high ideals higher spiritual awareness, imagination, sensitivity to others. And Saturn and Mars, the malefic planets, bring a completely different energy. They bring more challenge. Maybe some conflict with Mars there in the 8th house of shared resources as well might be coming up for you at this time. So there is actually a sextile from Venus, though. She is the lesser benefic. She rules this eclipse, and she is in a sextile to the greater benefic, Jupiter, at 16 degrees here. She's been in a sextile. She's separating, but they're still in aspect for a wee while. So there's some sextile energy, which is a flow of ease, of opportunity from the 8th house of other people's money, shared resources, to something around your status in the public eye, how you are seen. So perhaps there's going to be an increased sense of positivity around how you show up in the world. And Saturn has been encouraging you to make realistic boundaries around these topics because he's been in your 8th house of Pisces for some time. So let me just bring up the solar eclipse and see how that looks for you, which is on the 8th of April. So here you can see on the 8th of April, Leos, we've got a massive stellium up here in the 9th house of Aries. The sun and the moon are conjoined at 19 degrees, 24 minutes. And there's a cazimi point where Chiron, the wounded healer, is bringing some, has an opportunity to be seated on the throne with the king, the god, where all of this painful issues within your sense of own independence and self-worth are given this opportunity to be healed and cleansed as Chiron, the wounded healer, part of the Centurion belt, is seated on the throne with the God, the Sun, the one that is all-powerful, that gives us energy. He's empowered. So there's a potential here for healing. And this is a very rare planetary combination. We do get other planets come conjoined with the Sun at the cazimi, but I'm including Chiron here because it's a very significant part, and it may really change your whole outlook in life and your sense of where you belong, your philosophies and your spiritual beliefs. At the same time, there is Venus, who's now moved out of her exaltation where she was in Pisces, and she's gone into Aries. She's far from home, in exile, away from the house that she rules, which is Libra. So she is ruled by Mars, who's more dynamic and fiery and passionate and assertive. So perhaps within your close relationships, you may come across as a little bit more demanding or expressing your own needs a bit more. And there could be a more fiery nature as you're following your own driven needs, and your values may be more related to yourself, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and is so aware of the self. So that might be happening within this time of healing. And Rahu, the north node of the moon, is still giving you that initiation to follow your inner compass. The severed head of the dragon wants to succeed, wants to be able to achieve and absorb things and make successes of your drive and your own independence here. So that's given you that impetus here with Rahu there, wanting success in this area of finding your way in life and knowing your place in life and following your drive and being independent. And also we now have Mercury, the messenger of the gods, about your mind, your communications, journeys and travels and your plans. At 24 degrees, Aries, 47 minutes retrograde, has been retrograde now since the 1st of April and will continue to be retrograde until the 25th of April. So it's a time of reflecting, reviewing, replanning, reassessing, revisiting ideas. It's not a good time to sign contracts. And certainly the 9th house can be related to courts and issues and other people that make decisions for you in society, like solar figures. So if you can hold off till after the 25th of April, when Mercury begins to move forward and direct, that would be the best thing. But use this time of reflection within this house of the higher mind, spirituality. It could also indicate for you, Leos, starting a new course in further education, because new moons are about new beginnings, and it's about the higher mind further education. It's also about overseas travel. So maybe you're making some plans to travel further afield. And this solar eclipse is ruled by Mars. Mars is about to conjoin with Saturn. These are both of the malefics. They are in your 8th house. Saturn's been here for a while, so you're having to learn to work within restrictions and boundaries and carry the burdens about how you show up in relationships. This is the house in ancient astrology to do with the esteem of others. It's also the house of inheritances, money that comes in. It can be money from your partner's career. So Mars here with Saturn, there is there's a sense like Mars wants to push ahead and do things more dynamically and, at a faster speed. But Saturn is Kronos, Lord of Time, and he brings his sense of slowing things down, working at a slower pace with some firm insistence of taking time to create healthy boundaries that can work better in the long term, in the future, especially within this house of other people's shared resources, where you have to come together and make plans. So anything else I'd like to share? I think I've talked about that. Yeah, I've talked about Mars, I've talked about Saturn, I've talked about the flow at the lunar eclipse that is between the benefics, Venus, and basically these dynamics will be working across your 2nd house related to your own sense of self-esteem, your own beliefs in what you have to bring to the table, your own skills, your own finances, and your self-worth. And then it's opposite. No, sorry, ignore that. That's not the house at all. Sorry, it's the 3rd house. So this is your local neighborhood. It's related to siblings, your communications, learning, and it's the house of God up here, the 9th house here, which is the higher mind, further distance travel, decision makers such as courts and lawyers and things like that. So these dynamics are going to be continuing to work across these axes of your chart until the last Libra solar eclipse on the 2nd of October this year, and the last solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th of March 2025. So the house of the goddess and the house of God, masculine and feminine principles, the self and others. It's about relationships and yourself across these areas of your life. So see how that feels, Leo, and I hope that's helpful for you. And you feel free to put a comment below if any of that resonates. Thank you. Hi there, Virgos, ascendants, if you know your time of birth, and sun or moon if you don't. As we can see, this lunar eclipse is happening in your 2nd house of your personal self-worth, your own resources, your skills, your abilities, your finances, how you can make security. And issues here might be coming to the fore related to the first solar eclipse in Libra on the 14th of October last year. So at the full moon, this is 6 months later, topics around what you do in relationship. Libra is about sharing. Libra is about finding balance. Libra is about sharing ideas and respecting each other, but it's bringing up a sense of how that works for you, what's culminating at this point around your resources and your money, and also with a sense of letting go of something, some diminishment, release, surrendering something here, because Ketu is the south node of the moon, less interested in physical, practical, material things and more spiritual essences of life that can fulfill you and know and fulfill that sort of deeper sense of your inner self, other things in life other than material things. But, at the same time, if you've got deep connection to your own spirituality, that can give you some real sense of purpose and security in life. So this is where these dynamics are happening across the 2nd house and the 8th house, which is about other people, other people's money, money from others, your partner's money, shared resources. It can be related to things like mortgages, bills, tax rebates, things like that. And Venus is the ruler of this eclipse, and she is in your 7th house of personal relationships. She's exalted here in Pisces. She wants to bring compassion, creativity, sensitivity, a fluid sense of connecting with others. And, you know, Venus can give a lot. And within that 7th house of relationships, perhaps it's indicating that maybe you can deplete yourself by giving so much to others. And also with Saturn here, Kronos, Lord of Time, he is the reality checker. So maybe he is going to be giving you lessons of cutting back, saying no, learning your boundaries, because Venus has also been in a conjunction with Saturn recently and is now within a 4-degree orb. So it's something about your highest dreams and sense of beauty and fantasy being grounded with Saturn, and also learning restrictions and responsibilities within your relationship field. Neptune is also up here. So Venus and Neptune work in this sort of harmony, in these Piscean waters of creativity that flow and change and adapt. Mars has recently gone into here about how you can assert yourself. And Mars, again, is probably having to tune into being more patient, because he can't be as direct and forceful or assertive and achieve what he wants in these flowing waters of the oceans of Pisces here. So there's all these different dynamics happening at this time of this lunar eclipse. And Venus is in a sextile aspect to Jupiter. So these are the benefic planets. Venus in your 7th house of relationships is lending a sextile to Jupiter in your 9th house of your higher mind. So there's something to do with a flow, some opportunities that are given support that maybe help you in your sense of understanding your place, your belief systems in the world, something that gives you that sense of connecting to something bigger than yourself with Jupiter up there. And there will be a conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus coming up, which you'll be feeling in April. And talking about April, I'll move on to the solar eclipse and see what's happening 2 weeks later in the chart for you, Virgos. So Virgo, we can see there's a very powerful stellium of planets up in the Aries house of your chart. We have always a new moon. There's the sun and the moon conjoined, which are at 19 degrees 24 minutes. And we have this amazing opportunity for healing wounds in this 8th house of your house of relationships, about the esteem of others, how you are viewed by others, how others perceive you. Chiron, the wounded healer, part of the Centurion belt. Normally planets are seen to be cazimi, but I'm allowing Chiron to be on the throne with the sun, given extra powers and extra potential to heal something about the wounds around your own self-worth, about your own abilities and what you bring to the table within shared relationships. There's a real opportunity around the 8th of April where there's a cazimi of the exact degree, 19 degrees and 24 minutes of Chiron and the sun, and the moon is also there. Both these luminaries giving you the power to start something new within your shared area of life. It could be a new business potential, or it could be something about karmic debt. It could be something that comes in from inheritances, money from others that aren't from your everyday life. And there is a sense with Rahu, the north node of the moon, wanting to achieve success here, because Rahu, severed head of the dragon, he's wanting to absorb and be satiated and achieve something here, something successful that can unfold over the next year. And Mercury is now retrograde at 24 degrees Aries since the 1st of April until the 25th of April, reflecting, going back over ideas, reassessing your plans, reassessing ideas and contracts perhaps that you could sign. Don't do this if you can help it until after the 25th of April, when Mercury will then start moving slowly forward out of the retrogradation. And Venus here has now moved in out of her exaltation in Pisces, and she's more armored up. She's a guest of Mars, who rules this Aryan house. So how you may turn up in your relationships may be a bit more self-aware, a bit more expressing your own needs, perhaps, because Mars, the ruler of Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the seed of life at the time of the astrological new year, which we've just had just yesterday. There's a sense of being aware of the self and the needs. I am, I exist. So Venus, about your relationships and your values, really might tune you in more to what you need to follow as your inner compass at the time of this new moon solar eclipse. There's going to be some endings and new beginnings that can unfold over the next year. And these will continue until the last solar eclipse in Libra, which is on the 2nd of October this year. And then the last solar eclipse in Aries is on the 25th of March. So there's something happening that's quite dynamic there. And there is this conjunction here with Mars, the malefics, and Saturn in this house of personal relationships. So this energy will build around the 6th of April, 2 days before the solar eclipse, will be exact 2 days after on the 10th of April, and will continue until the 14th of April. Mars wanting to be dynamic and push ahead and be assertive, but having to be more compassionate, and Saturn saying, look, we're in this for the long haul here. Let's make some firm plans and healthy boundaries where we can work ahead for the future. Neptune still giving some positive energies of belief and trust in the universe, like some things just, it will be what it will be. But Mars is pretty dominant really in this area of your 7th house. So if you're in long-term relationships, it might be changes, long-term plans, Mars firing things up, having to learn about compassion a bit more in this house that's ruled by Jupiter. So these energies are going to continue across the 2nd house and the 8th house for you for the next year, bringing up own sense of self-worth, your own abilities, and also those of shared resources and your partnerships. So I hope that's helpful for you. Virgo ascendants, put any comments below if any of this resonates, like and share if you like. I'll be now moving on to Libra. Hi, Libra, ascendant, sun or moon, if you don't know your time of birth. We can see that this is going to be a very dynamic eclipse for you, which may have started around the 14th of October at the first Libran eclipse last year. And you're one of the cardinal signs. So this full moon Libran eclipse is happening 6 months later than the first Libran solar eclipse, bringing to light things that may have started or may have been prominent in your life, that you started new things and they're now becoming visible, or maybe you can see the culmination of these projects, or maybe there's an ending happening. And it is to do with you and yourself, because the moon is in the 1st house, known as the helm of the ship. The whole of this 1st house here is really about you, your outlook, your vitality, your psychology, your physical appearance, and how you show up in the world. So Libran, you tend to be very aware of other people and wanting to work in harmony with others. However, there's a sense of depletion when you always are aware of others, because this Ketu, the south node of the moon, is something about releasing something here, something about letting go, or a sense of depletion and diminishment around that. And the opposition is the sun in the 7th house of relationships. So at the full moon, there's always opposition between the sun and the moon. So they're 5 degrees, 7 minutes Libra, 5 degrees, 7 minutes Aries. And the dynamic for the next year is going to be about you and your self-expression and how that works within your close and personal relationships. So those can be romantic relationships, such as marriages, or they can be related to your business relationships. Or if you work in an area where you provide a service to others, the 7th house can be your audience. So this Venus ruled eclipse, Venus is in your 6th house of Pisces. She's exalted here. She's able to be compassionate, creative, sensitive, aware of the needs of others. In this 6th house, which is known as Mars's joy, everyday life, work, service, duties, compassion. Perhaps you give a lot in your daily life. you put yourself out there, you're aware of other people's needs, and you do a lot for people. That might be something that you may need to address. And Saturn here, where Venus has been conjoined, may indicate that you need to recognize your limits and say no on occasion, or create some healthier boundaries around what you can do. Neptune has been up here in the 6th house for some time, so giving you some sort of beliefs and high imagination and creativity. Yet Mars and Saturn, these are the malefic planets, so they can cause more challenge. Mars has just moved into Pisces, and he likes to be quite dynamic and forceful, but he's in these very fluid waters of Pisces, like an ocean with the different ebbs and flows and the shoals of fish that go this way and that. So your sense of applying yourself may be a little bit off target, not able to be quite as focused. However, you can develop more compassion or creativity while Mars is transiting through this house. I will now move on to the solar eclipse, where Mars will be ruling. There was one other thing, wasn't there? Yeah, Venus, the ruler of this lunar eclipse, is giving a sextile aspect to Jupiter. So Venus exalted in your everyday life. It can be related to your health as well, your health and well-being. She's in a lovely sign here, and she is creating a sextile to Jupiter in your 8th house of shared resources. So Venus can be about finances. So Venus may be giving you some blessings of money that comes in from others, from other sources, gifts to you from people that hold you in high esteem. So watch out for something like that coming your way, Librans. I hope that's exciting and helpful for you. Put a comment below if any of that resonates. And now I'll move on to sharing the solar return chart. Not solar return, solar eclipse. Let me just, don't know if I can do it just like this, actually. Yeah, I can. So here is the solar eclipse, which is on the 8th of April. As I was saying, Mars rules this solar eclipse from your everyday life of health, work, service, self-sacrifice. There's something new potentially coming up within your relationships, because we have a massive stellium of planets up here. We have the sun, get the arrow, the sun at 19 degrees 24 minutes conjoined with the moon, and we have Chiron, the wounded healer, cazimi with the sun. It's a very rare planetary alignment with Chiron, part of the Centaurian belt, sitting on the throne, seen as the god in his chariot, being given extra powers. When you're seated on the throne with the god, you're sort of up there, exalted in a way, having that sort of regal and empowered moment to allow something around wounds that you carry within your sense of self and in the area of relationships, being given this wonderful moment of healing here, self-realization perhaps. So this is happening around the 8th of April. That's when the exact degree, 19 degrees Aries, 24 minutes is happening. Venus in Aries has left her sign of exaltation. She's now in detriment. So she's more fired up to be more assertive, because she's in exile away from the house of Libra, and she's in Mars's domain of Aries. So you may express yourself more based upon your own needs, which might be quite a good thing for you, Librans, because quite often you are aware of others and may put other people's needs ahead of your own. And Mercury is now 24 degrees 47 minutes retrograde, has been since the 1st of April, and will be retrograde until the 25th of April. So retrograde Mercury, about the mind, ideas, plans, journeys, contracts, in the house of relationships. There's a time of reviewing, going back over and rethinking things. So that's very important for you, Libra. A time of reassessing before moving forward. Just double checking I haven't missed anything else from my notes. Yeah, it's basically a sense that something new is starting within relationships that may unfold over the next year. And these dynamics will be across your own sense of self and how you show up within relationships and what that means for you. And I think it's maybe an indication of working out how you can be you and how you can exist within relationships within a sense of balance. Yeah. And these will continue to happen across these houses for you, Librans, until the 2nd of October. That's the last lunar solar eclipse in Libra. And the 25th, 29th of March, 2025 is the last solar eclipse. So yeah, see how that unfolds for you. And there will be an exciting conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in this 8th house here. There might be some very exciting opportunities of something opportunistic and unexpected coming into the area of money from others there. So watch out for that too. Let me know how that resonates and press the like and subscribe if you like. I'll now move on to Scorpio. Hi there, Scorpio ascendant, sun and moon, if you don't know your time of birth. This lunar eclipse in Libra, ruled by Venus in the 5th house, is happening on the 25th of March in your 12th house, which is the hidden place of Saturn's joy. It's the house furthest away from the helm of the ship, the 1st house. It's the house where you are processing things privately, behind the scenes, maybe looking at your internal world of tuning into your inner self, the area that you hide from others. And as a Scorpio, you're quite a private person anyway, with secrets. So this is very much bringing things to a culmination point, an ending point perhaps, of what happened around the first Libran solar eclipse on the 14th of October last year. And these dynamics will continue to happen until the end of March 2025. So this house of Libra, with the Ketu, the south node of the moon, bringing things to a fore. So it's like private behind the scenes things. Perhaps you work behind the scenes, perhaps you work in collaboration with others, but it's something to do with shared ideas, partnerships, balance. So that's the challenge of this. And Venus is in your 5th house of pleasures, fun, recreation. She is overseeing this eclipse, and she is recently conjoined with Saturn in Pisces here. Saturn's been here since last March. Venus is exalted, so there's maybe dreams and wishes and sensitivity and awareness of what things could be like, but maybe Saturn is a reality checker here. Maybe Saturn is highlighting things that are missing or difficult within this area of pleasures for you. So what's important at the time of this lunar eclipse is not to fall into negative patterns, because this 12th house is the house of self-undoing. And there is a sense of release, of wanting to lose control and let go of things here. And the dynamic across to the 6th house, which is Mars's joy, is very much the Aries, the assertion, the independence, and that may be to do with your everyday life, where you carry quite a lot of responsibility or want to do things on your own terms there, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. But talking about the Venus here, Saturn here, there's been a conjunction. Mars has also just gone into this house of Pisces. Mars is not really able to be very decisive and action orientated in Pisces, because the fluid water of the oceans, of the mutability of this sign of the zodiac is quite, it can be depleting. It can be less focused, because Pisces are the fish swimming in opposite directions. So Mars can learn about creativity and compassion to others while he is transiting through this 5th house. Saturn is about reality checks, recognizing what's missing. Perhaps you need to structure your time if there's not enough time for you to have pleasures in life, to blow off some steam here. However, there is also a sextile from Venus. Venus here in your fifth house of pleasures, where she's exalted, to Jupiter, the greater benefic, in your seventh house of relationships. So Venus can be about romance. It also can be about finances. So perhaps there's going to be a boost here. If you work serving people, this could be an audience. So you're received well. You may have more financial opportunities that come to you, or maybe it might enhance some relationships. If it's not your audience at work, maybe your personal relationships are given this boost by this flowing aspect of Venus sextile Jupiter in your personal relationship house there, from your house of pleasures and money. Or maybe you will do things more with some colleagues at work, perhaps something that you can enjoy together, like sporting or just blowing off some steam. That could be an interpretation. It's difficult to give exact interpretations without seeing your personal birth chart, because this is just giving you a general gist of the areas of life that are being affected by these different planets. So let me just move on now to the solar eclipse, which is happening 2 weeks later on the 8th of April. As you can see, Scorpios, this is a very intense stellium of planets, with the sun and the moon always conjoined at a new moon. So new moon and a solar eclipse is when the nodes of the moon are within 10 to 18 degrees of the actual moon. So as you can see, there's only a 4-degree orb. That's why we have a total solar eclipse here. But this is a potential of new beginnings, and it is in your fifth house of Mars's joy, your work, your daily life, the service that you have to others, and it can be related to your personal health and well-being. So there could be something quite healing here about starting something new that will benefit you in the future, with Rahu, the north node of the moon, the severed head of the dragon, wanting to succeed at something here, and Chiron having this amazing, rare opportunity to be seated on the heart of the throne with the god sun at this cazimi point at 19 degrees 24 minutes. It's a very rare opportunity here, and Chiron represents the wounds that we carry. So there's something cathartic and potentially life-changing around topics of your health, or might be to do with work as well, and how you show up and use your own independence and drive and pioneering nature. But it's about self-belief with Chiron in Aries. And also Venus in Aries, she is an exile from the house that she rules. She's in Mars's house, who rules Aries, and he is the ruler of this solar eclipse. So she has to sort of be more assertive in her one-to-one relationships, and it may make you focus in on your own drive, what you really want for yourself, and how you can assert yourself in the future in this area of everyday life, work and service. And Mercury is also retrograde in Aries, so this is quite a powerful stellium here. And Mercury represents the mind, your ideas, your thoughts, your plans, your journeys. Going retrograde from the 1st of April to the 25th of April, it's a time of reflecting, looking back and reviewing your ideas around your daily life, reviewing your ideas around your health and implications of how you're living and how that may impact you. Because also at the same time, we have the ruler of this eclipse and also the ruler of Scorpio in ancient astrology. Mars rules Scorpio. It's powerful for you, and Mars is coming into a conjunction with Saturn starting 2 days before this solar eclipse on the 6th of April, exact 2 days later on the 10th of April, and until a separating orb until the 14th of April. So Mars, your ruler in Pisces, conjoined with Saturn, you know, it's in this area of your pleasures, your creativity, how you blow off steam. It's about romance, sex, pregnancy and children, or entrepreneurial pursuits. So Mars conjoined with Saturn may want to push forward and use his own impetus, but he's less able in Pisces, as I mentioned in the previous part of this interpretation. And Saturn is about limitations, working within your means, structuring your time for long-term plans that may benefit you in the future. You know, as I was saying before, maybe there's a realization there's not enough time to have pleasures and enjoy yourself. So it might be necessary to like factor in these little pockets of time for you in your daily life, which can help you in the future have pleasures, which then can have a good impact on your actual health. So these eclipses will be continuing to work across these dynamics of the 6th and 12th houses, which were known in ancient times to be the malefic houses, because this is Mars' house. Mars sometimes is about conflict as well, because he is the warrior and he rules this eclipse. So there can be conflict or disagreement and endings and severing of ties. And this is Saturn's house, the house of seclusion and privacy. So these dynamics, Scorpios, are going to be continuing to work across these axes and affect these different areas of your life until the last solar eclipse on the 2nd of October this year, and the last, that's in Libra, and the last solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th of March 2025. So you're navigating these energies over the next year. So let me know how that resonates with you, and good luck with that. Hi there, Sagittarians. Sun and Moon if you don't know your ascendant, or ascendant if you do, or listen in for whatever you think and see what resonates with you. You can listen in for your Sun and your Moon and your ascendant signs in these delineations, because they do represent different areas of your life. So as we can see, we've got the lunar eclipse on the 25th of March happening in the house of Jupiter's joy, hopes and wishes, dreams, long-term plans, benefactors, groups that support you, opportunities, benefits, rewards from your career. The 10th house is there, so it's a second derived house. And it's opposite the dynamic of Venus's joy. So these are the benefic planet houses, the houses of good fortune and hopes and wishes. So these are quite positive areas of life for you Sagittarians, and I'm sure you'll make the most of things, as you're very expansive and ruled by Jupiter anyway, always looking for, you're the glass half full rather than the glass half empty type of person. So the first solar eclipse in Libra was on the 14th of October, so last year. So this is 6 months later. So whatever was prevalent in your life at that time may now be coming to a sense of completion or illumination, or you may have an awareness of how that is building for you. But lunar eclipses and solar eclipses are often about endings. And then with endings, the subsequent thing is the new beginning that comes on. So what was going on for you then? And also this house of groups and friendships has Ketu here, the severed body of the dragon. So there is a sense of recognizing perhaps groups, friendships that no longer serve you, that you no longer truly resonate with. There's a sense of letting go of some friendship groups here with Ketu, the south node of the moon, in this area of your life. And this lunar eclipse is ruled by Venus. She is exalted in your home house, family life, the resting place. She's very much connected to your hopes and wishes. She's averse to the 11th house, but this is where she is exuding her energies. She's wanting to be compassionate and bring the best that she can to the home environment, the family environment. In Pisces, she's aware and compassionate and sensitive and emotional, creative, but she's also got the taskmaster Saturn conjoined here, who she was recently conjoined, and he brings lessons and says what's difficult, what's hard, what's possible, what you should cut away, what you can say no, limit yourself, there's responsibilities, how can you manage these things? And it might be some difficulties within some family dynamic relationships that you're also having to process. Neptune's giving hope here and inspiration and trust that something will come from other realms to support you. Yet Mars has also come into this house of Pisces, and they can be choppy or they can be flowing oceans of the collective emotional needs of Pisces. It's that ocean that there's a sense of connecting to more than oneself. And this is all at work within your home environment. So Mars has the capacity to be less dynamic, but more compassionate in these areas of life for you. And at the same time, Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, is giving a lovely sextile to Jupiter in your 6th house of Taurus. So the benefics, in sextile, there should be some positivity, or it could be financial gain that comes from home environment, family support to your everyday life, which may benefit your health or bring up something in your daily life related to new work, other ideas around work and health there. So that's a few things that's happening. And now I'll move on to the solar eclipse on the 8th of April. So as we can see, Sagittarians, there's a very dynamic stellium of planets in this Aries area of your chart. We've got the sun and the moon cazimi with Chiron here, 19 degrees, 24 minutes. Now, this is a very rare planetary alignment. So normally I would consider planets on the heart of the throne at the same degrees and minutes as being given extra power and potential. But Chiron, who represents our wounds that we carry in our lives, and in Aries that can be related to your own sense of your own abilities, your own self-worth, your own independence. There's a sense of Chiron being given extra powers of empowerment to be illuminated and given strength here that can heal some wounds around those issues within your house of pleasures and romance. This can rekindle a new beginning for you, new moons, new beginnings that may unfold over the next year over this cycle where these Aries and Libra dynamics are at work and will continue to be at work. There could be some cathartic healing around relationships with children as well, because this is the house which is related to Venus's joy, which can be about pregnancy, can be about your children as well. And there is a sense that you want to succeed here. You want to make things come to their best potential, because Rahu, the north node of the moon, the severed head of the dragon, is wanting to achieve and follow this dynamic path here, being independent, being courageous and bold to follow this drive here, following your own needs, your own inner compass of creativity. And Venus, the goddess of love and beauty and harmony, she is now in Aries. She was ruling the lunar eclipse in Libra, which was 2 weeks previous, but now she's moved out of exaltation. She is far from home. She rules this 11th house of Libra, but she is a guest of Mars, who rules this Aries solar eclipse. So she is now garnered up to be more assertive and powerful in a way of expressing her own needs too. So there can be a sense of, really having to stand your ground, and you may find that a bit more within one-to-one relationships, or using your own sense of independence a bit more with Venus here in Aries. And with Mercury, messenger of the gods, psychopomp, merchant, magician, trickster, all about the mind and plans and ideas and journeys. Mercury is now going retrograde and has been since the 1st of April and will be retrograde until the 25th of April. So there is a sense of, looking back over topics related to the pleasures, creativity, and children that you can be processing and rethinking, remembering back and reassessing things for the future. So with that Mercury there, that's likely to be happening. A lot of reflection. What else have we got going on? Oh yeah, Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse, this potential for new beginnings in this house related to children and love, will be conjoining with Saturn in your 4th house. Saturn's been here since last March, and Saturn continues to be here, giving you a sense of restriction, limitation, boundaries, or using your wisdom and mastery. And Mars is going to be conjoining here between the 6th and the 14th of April. So just before this solar eclipse, Mars, the malefic, lesser malefic, and Saturn are going to be conjoined here. Mars is really wanting to be independent and assertive, but isn't really that able. And Saturn, I believe, has the upper hand because he's been here longer. And he says, slow down a bit, just take your time, make some plans, think about the future. But it can be a bit depleting for your energy levels, maybe at times with Mars in this sort of very nebulous flowing ocean of Pisces, which is very changeable with different currents. You may feel, you know, there's an energy of feeling less driven, but Saturn's firm insistence is about being patient, taking time, enduring, maybe restructure things or make plans that you can work within, you know, those sort of things are going to be prevalent for you. Reality checks, personal values within family dynamics. And Venus does still send some support to your sixth house of everyday life and work there. So fiery relationships, perhaps with Venus in detriment, healing within home and family, relationships related to your children, and these will be continuing across these eclipses for another year across the house of Jupiter's joy and Venus's joy, your own pleasures, where you find fun and can follow your creative dreams, and the house of shared group activities until the 2nd of October 2024. That's the last Libra solar eclipse, and the last solar eclipse in Aries is on the 29th of March 2025, Sagittarius. So I hope you find that helpful, navigating these waves that also enrich our lives as we experience different things and learn and grow as people. Hi, Capricorn, ascendant, sun or moon, if you don't know your time of birth. This 10th house lunar eclipse in Leo with the rule of Venus in the 3rd house is happening, followed 2 weeks later by the solar eclipse in the 4th house of Aries with Mars in the 3rd ruling. So these are very dynamic areas of your life. This 10th house, because you're one of the cardinal signs, and the 4th house, 10th house of Libra, 4th house of Aries. These dynamics have been happening since the solar eclipse, which happened on the 14th of October, 2023, with that first Libran solar eclipse. So there may be an ending or a completion point that's coming up for you now that may give you a sense of letting go and releasing something up in your visible house of social praxis, the house which is related to your reputation, your social standing, what you're seen to do in the public eye. It might be related to some sort of career or any vocations, because Ketu is also up here, the south node of the moon, with a sense of letting go, diminishment, release. So maybe something that started, you've had to cut back on something and let go of something, because all of these impacts have a relation on your home and family life, where the sun in Aries is. We'll go into the solar eclipse where there's quite a large stellium of planets going on there. So Venus is the ruler of the Libran eclipse. She rules Taurus and she also rules Libra. So she's exalted in this 3rd house of Pisces, which in ancient times was known to be the house of the goddess. It's also related to friends in ancient astrology, or those in your local neighborhood that you would treat as family, that are good friends. So she was recently, Venus, conjoined with Saturn here in Pisces. So he is Kronos, lord of time. He was the most distant planet of the solar system, seen with the naked eye by the ancient ones. So he represents boundaries, and he may have instilled some reality checks around how you interact in your local environment and your neighborhood on a daily basis. So you may have decided to cut back or create some healthy boundaries around daily tasks, your communications and journeys, which will better serve you in the future. There also may have been or may be some difficult relationships with siblings or distant relatives within your neighborhood or just in your life in general. Mars has recently ingressed into Pisces, but he's less able to be as direct and as assertive as he likes to be, because he's in these ever-changing waters of Pisces, which are mutable nature, flowing energies. And let me just get my notes. Yeah, Mars likes to be in Aries or Scorpio, the temples that he rules, but now he's in Pisces, so he's slightly depleted and less able to follow his tasks here. There is a lovely sextile aspect from Venus, the ruler, of this Libra eclipse from your 4th house of environment, local environment and neighborhood, to Jupiter and Taurus in your 5th house of pleasures, creativity, children, entrepreneurship. So there's some support, some harmony maybe coming from your sibling or aunts, uncles, or close friends that can support something creative around fun, love, and pleasure. And there is an aspect which I think I'll bring the next chart up, because it's about Mars coming into a conjunction with Saturn, and that's closer to the time of the solar eclipse, which is ruled by Mars. So let me bring up that chart for you. Maybe I can just do it here actually without pausing. Yep, here we go. This is Mars ruling the solar eclipse. Let me bring up my circle. You can see how difficult this is to do a big circle where there's so many planets. It's quite hard to get them all in. Yep, there we go. We've got a stellium of planets at this new moon solar eclipse on the 8th of April for you Capricorn ascendant, sun or moons. So there's always the potential of a new beginning at a new moon. But this solar eclipse is joined by Rahu, the north node of the moon, within 4 degrees. So when there's a very close conjunction to the suns and the moon at these eclipses, it becomes a total solar eclipse because they're very close, and the degrees can go right out to 18 degrees distance, and they're just 4 degrees apart. So Rahu is closely conjoined with the moon, the luminary that reflects, who is conjoined with the sun, who produces an dynamic solar energy here. And we have this cazimi of Chiron, the wounded healer, part of the centurion belt. He is on the throne, cazimi, at exactly the same degree as the sun, 19 degrees, 24 minutes. It's a very rare conjunction. And this is all happening for you, Capricorn ascendants, in your house of home and family. There's something potentially healing here, because Chiron is being given this opportunity to be seated beside God, the sun, the most powerful entity in the heavens that we rely upon. He's being given extra powers, and this is around healing wounds around your own self-worth, your own abilities within the family dynamic. So there's an opportunity for new beginnings to unfurl over the next year, while these lunar eclipses and solar eclipses are happening across these dynamics. And it's related to home and family and your public status. So, use this chance around the solar eclipse to really illuminate and take that sense of empowerment and self-belief to heal the wounds of the past, to move forward in the future with more belief in yourself and assertion and promise to walk your path in your power. And also at the same time, we've got Venus would encourage that, because Venus is now in Aries. She's in the house that Mars rules, because Mars is the ruler of this solar eclipse. She loves to be up here in Libra, so she's in exile. So she's having to behave how Mars likes to run his house, which is a bit more like brash and a bit quicker and a bit more sort of masculinely driven. So aware of your own needs, your relationships, you may come across as a bit more sparky, able to assert yourself. There could be slight sort of, conflict if you can't find some balance. But also we have Mercury, the messenger of the gods, related to our minds, our journeys, our ideas, our plans, our travels, mercantile ideas. He's a trickster, he's a magician. There's Mercury retrograde happening in your 4th house of home and family as well. So there's a sense of, looking back over the past in family dynamics, perhaps rethinking things for the future. Because when Mercury is retrograde, which is from the 1st of April to the 25th of April, there will be a time of reviewing and reassessing and rethinking things for the future around your home environment, and also how this may affect your public status in the future, maybe your work life, maybe your vocations, or what you're seen to do publicly. But what I was going to say in the last part of the video is the Mars will, you can see Mars is conjoining with Saturn. So he rules this solar eclipse in Aries. and he is just about to conjoin 2 days before the 6th of April. He's applying to conjoin with Saturn exact 2 days after the solar eclipse on the 10th, and still separating on the 14th. So this conjunction of the two malefics bring in different contrasting energies here. Mars wanting to push ahead in your daily life, your neighborhood, to do with your communications and your journeys, but feeling maybe a bit depleted in Pisces and less able to stay on track, with Saturn firmly insisting on taking time and being patient to create some structured plans around your daily routines, which will serve you better in the future. You know, there's a sense of Pisces being aware of other people's needs as well, but there's a necessity to have healthy boundaries, recognizing your limits, not taking on too much here, Capricorns, because they can become heavy burdens and they might not be necessary. So what else is going on? We've talked about that cazimi. And just to say, really, that these dynamics are just going to be at work. They've been at work since the last October solar eclipse. Home and family and your career life, these continuing waves that come in patterns, you're going to have the opportunity to revisit these waves and work out these dynamics over the next year, with the last Libra solar eclipse on the 2nd of October and the last solar eclipse in Aries on the 29th of March, 2025. So I hope that's helpful for you, Capricorns. If any of that resonates with you, leave a comment below, press the like, subscribe. If you feel generous, you can buy me a coffee. So just moving on. Hi there, Aquarius ascendants, sun or moon, if you don't know your time of birth. As we can see, this 9th house lunar eclipse in Libra, ruled by Venus in your 2nd house, and followed by the solar eclipse in the 3rd house of Aries, ruled by Mars in the 2nd house, is happening across these 3rd and 9th house dynamics. So the 9th house, where the moon is at the time of this full moon, is maybe bringing some topics to fruition that may have started around the first solar eclipse in Libra on the 14th of October last year. And it's in the house of God. In ancient astrology, it's the house of God. It's usually solar figures, those that have in traditional times power, have been decision makers, have been teachers, leaders, priests, gurus, that sort of energy. It's the joy of the sun, which is the masculine principle. So this area of life can be related to the higher mind, philosophies, spirituality, pilgrimages, your belief system, that which enriches you in your life. So it's truth finding, it's further education, it's journeys further afield. All of these topics may be coming to, some of those topics will resonate with you. I can't really tell without seeing your whole birth chart, but there's a sense of something coming to completion, coming to end in this house of God, where the moon is in Libra. And there's a sense of maybe letting go of something too, because we've got Ketu, the south node of the moon, the severed body of the dragon, some sense of letting go, surrendering, releasing, relinquishing. So maybe you're ending something here that no longer resonates with you in your belief system. Maybe you're changing some ideas of things that you're studying. Maybe you're changing your religious or spiritual paths, or letting go of previous people that you held in a place of power that could teach you. This is the house of the higher mind. So Venus is the ruler of this Libran solar eclipse, and she is in your 2nd house here in Pisces, where she's exalted. She's averse to the moon, as she's averse to the moon in all of my delineations, but she does try to bring the best of everything, and it's related to your gifts and your sense of self-esteem. And Venus in Pisces is exalted, so there's a sensitivity, great emotional ability, compassion, and creativity in this house of your own skills, and how you can use your own skills to create finances and security in your life. with Saturn, the taskmaster, who Venus has recently conjoined, given you some reality checks around these topics, maybe bringing up something around what's lacking in your skill set or what you need to do to further yourself to be able to do things more independently in the future. Maybe also recognizing that there's maybe a need to budget or say no and cut back a bit, because Venus does like to spend and enjoy things, and Pisces is very fluid, and Saturn saying, well, actually, you can't really afford that, or, you know, limit yourself. If you're going to do that, then you can't do that, for example. So, yeah, I've just mentioned that. And Venus is in a lovely sextile aspect, get rid of those arrows, to Jupiter in your fourth house of home and family. So there's some beautiful flowing potential of the sextile, which is the nature of Venus. There's an opportunity, some support flowing from you to your home and family house here, something expansive that can help. Maybe you can use some skills that you've got to enhance something around your home environment or family dynamics. That sort of compassionate energy there, or it could be to do something with something more practical, like improving the home environment, more beautifying, artistry, decorating, soft furnishings, just making it more comfortable. So that's just another interpretation of this, of that sextile aspect there. I will move on to the solar eclipse image now, because that's when we can talk about Mars being the ruler of that. Let me just, can probably just move it on actually. Yeah, so Aquarians, here we can see we've got, let's get the circle showing the stellium of planets here in Aries. Massive stellium here going on if we include Chiron here. And this is the potential for a new beginning in this third house area of your chart, which is related to your local environment. It can be related to neighborhood, teaching, journeys, courses, learning, education, all of these topics. And also it can be related to siblings and distant relatives, like aunts, uncles, and cousins, or friendship groups, because it's the house of goddess in ancient astrology. So there's new beginnings potentially here, powerful new beginnings that can unfold over the next year, because we have the sun and the moon always conjoined at new moon, but we've got the eclipse, a total eclipse with the north node of the moon within 4 degrees, Rahu, the severed head of the dragon, wanting to succeed and achieve something. And we also have this beautiful opportunity for healing some wounds around your sense of self, what you bring to your local environment on a daily basis, because Chiron is the wounded healer, part of the centurion belt. He represents a centaur who was twice wounded, rejected at birth and abandoned for being half man, half horse, like a monster. And then he was hit with a poison arrow, which he nearly died, but he was retreated to the cave. He's like the Hierophant in tarot. He used his wisdom and his healing abilities to heal his wounds, and he became a master and a healer and a teacher. But he represents to all of us in our own birth charts wounds that we carry. And Chiron in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, I exist, I am, you know, that youthful sign of what you can do for yourself with a sense of independence. There's a potential here with Chiron cazimi on the heart of the throne, exactly degrees and minutes, 19 degrees, 24 minutes, giving you this empowerment of healing some self-belief issues around your own abilities. That may be to do with teaching or with sibling relationships. There's a cathartic moment that's potentially here for you to use. It's a very rare opportunity, a rare astrological placement. So see what resonates with you with that. And also we've got Venus in Aries here. She's in detriment because she rules the opposite sign of Libra. So she's a guest of Mars. So you're maybe more garnered up to be more assertive in this Aries house, because you have to behave how Mars runs his house. not how Libra does her easygoing unifying. There could be more conflict here, more disagreement in your daily life, perhaps with you being more assertive, which is sometimes quite a good thing to be, but just being aware of that. And also we've got Mercury retrograde since the 1st of April to the 25th of April, giving you a chance to review topics around your home, neighborhood, sibling relationship. Maybe you're about to take a course or something, or redo a course that you've done in the past, because Mercury retrograde is going back over, rethinking, revising, replanning, reassessing. And it's best not to sign contracts till Mercury is direct after the 25th of April as well. So I was talking about Mars here, the ruler of this solar eclipse. So just before, on the 6th of April, 2 days before the solar eclipse, exact on the 10th, so 2 days after, Mars will be conjoining with Saturn here in your second house. And Mars will be separating with an orb, 3-degree orb, up until the 14th of April. So this conjunction of the malefic planets in your second house of Pisces may bring up contrasting energies with Mars, your ruler, the ruler of this solar eclipse, wanting to push forward, but perhaps feeling a bit depleted and less able to be focused, less structured, and less driven, but Saturn insisting on being, aware of your own personal skills and limitations and abilities, perhaps wanting to encourage you to, master your skills a bit more here. So the Pisces influences of being aware of everybody's needs are happening within your sort of sense of your own abilities, and your sense of finances and money and your skill set. But, there's always that awareness of other people's needs and how that might affect you. And that can be quite draining on a day-to-day level. So healthy boundaries can be really positive for you, and recognizing when enough's enough, so that responsibilities don't become too much like heavy burdens. So following your own independence, that may involve you being more courageous and believing in yourself. That's always important. To achieve things, you have to believe in yourself before others will, support you and believe in you too. Sometimes that can feel a bit selfish as well, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So the needs and self-awareness are very strong at this time. So, let me just see if there's anything else I want to share there. These dynamics are going to be continuing across these areas of life. Sorry, I've lost my page. I'm nearly at the end of doing all 12 signs, so sorry about this. No, the dynamics are happening for you at these eclipses are going to be continuing across the house of goddess and the house of God. So let me get rid of this. The dynamics are happening. The third house, the house of goddess, Aries, and the house of God. So there's a potential new beginning happening here, either a new course or a new close relationship in your dynamic environment on an everyday basis here. So this could augur new beginnings for you. And it possibly could be about improvement within sibling, cousin, aunt, and uncle relationships. So let me know if that's helpful for you at all. And these waves of these eclipses will be continuing until the 2nd of October, where it's the last Libra solar eclipse, and the 29th of March, where it's the last Aries solar eclipse. That's 2025. That's the very last one. So I hope that's helpful for you, Aquarius. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment below. Sorry, I got a bit garbled there. I went off track. Hi there, Pisces, ascendant, sun or moon. This lunar eclipse is an 8th house lunar eclipse. Let me just read that again. It's an 8th house lunar eclipse in Libra, and there will be a solar eclipse in your 2nd house of Aries. So the Libran eclipse is ruled by Venus here. She is in your 1st house, which is a very powerful area of life. So it's about how you show up in the world. This house here is about your self-expression, your identity, your psychology, and the mask that you wear in the world, it can be as well. So Venus is exalted in this 1st house. So I'm imagining, since Venus has been in this 1st house, you've come across as much more sensitive. Maybe you've got compassion and energy and caring nature generally anyway as a Pisces, because you're very compassionate and sensitive and emotional and expansive. So there's a sense that Venus is giving you blessings here to how you show up in the world. And she's ruling this 8th house where the lunar eclipse is happening. So topics that may have began around the 14th of October, where last year, where there was a solar eclipse in Libra in this 8th house, may be now come into fruition, because this is 6 months later, new beginnings at new moon, culmination points at the full moon. And at the same time, it's the house of the esteem of others. It's the house of shared resources. It's the house of anxieties and fears. And sometimes it can be related to, well, it's mysteries and the occult as well. So darker, taboo subjects, but also it can be the house of inheritance as well. So it may be bringing to light some topics that started around the 14th of October. Sometimes with the Saturn in your 1st house, co-present, Saturn's been here since last March. So Saturn, is the stern old man of the zodiac, Kronos, Lord of Time. When he's in your 1st house, he can just bring things down a little bit, can be a bit more less bright and exuberant, and it can affect your mood maybe with a sense of more sobering ideas, or a sense of restriction and limitation, or a lack of confidence perhaps, or a lower mood, things like that. For Pisces ascendants, this has been going on since last March, but Venus here helps lift the mood, helps bring in some sort of sense of trust and compassion and love and beauty and union. And she has recently been in a conjunction with Saturn. So, there may be some, she's tried to lift him, but he brings her down a little bit, so there's maybe something that you've learned after this conjunction with Saturn and Venus here. Around recognizing your own limitations, maybe thinking, okay, I can't do too much more of that, like giving of myself to others, because it's depleting me. And, there's only a certain amount that we can all give. But at the same time, Neptune is still giving you a sense of believing that there's other things you have faith in, that you trust in the universe, and things will work out. But Saturn does bring some sort of heavier burdens to the table and reality checks. And recently, Mars has just ingressed into Pisces. Normally, Mars can add dynamism and energy to your 1st house of vitality. But because he's in a sign that he's not really able to use his active nature and sense of, focus and dynamism and passion, it's more subdued and more going with these Piscean, mutable, flowing, watery energies here. So, your energy may be more about getting in touch with your spiritual side or creative side, but at the same time, the energy may be sort of up and down, sometimes stronger and sometimes other times more depleted. However, we have got a lovely sextile aspect from Venus in your first house to Jupiter in your third house of the goddess. These are supportive energies between the benefic planets. So this should send some flow and positivity and maybe an opportunity around you and yourself, your own identity, and something to do with your local environment. Perhaps it's to do with a sibling relationship or a friend who you treat like family. That can be positive for you. So that's a lovely little aspect there. So now I'm going to move on to the solar eclipse. I'm joining the two energies together, two delineations together, because I won't be able to do another video for a wee while. So let me circle this solar eclipse on the 8th of April. So these dynamics, as I was saying, are going across your second house of your own sense of self-esteem, your own abilities, your finances, and your sense of security to use your own skills, and the 8th house, which is related to your shared resources, finances, money from others, karmic debt, those sort of things. But let's see what's going on here with this stellium of planets, which are in your second house of Aries. So 8th of April, we have this new moon solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, because the nodes of the moon are within a very small degree. We've got Rahu, the node of the moon, within 4 degrees of the luminaries at 19 degrees 24. So that's what creates a solar eclipse, because the nodes of the moon can go as far away as 18 degrees and then they're just partial, but this is a solar eclipse. So it's a real potential here for something new to happen within your lives, Pisces, related to your own skills or finances or long-term security. And we have this healing Chiron, the wounded healer. He is cazimi, which is a very, very rare time. It's when a planet is the same degree and minute of the sun. So the sun represents the king, the most powerful entity in the heavens. And when a planet is exactly the same, 19 degrees Aries, 24 minutes, seated on the throne with the king, given extra power, extra recognition, given extra skills to use whatever the planet, or in this case, the asteroid represents, there's a powerful moment of healing or illumination or recognition around the wounds that you carry that may be can be let go of at this time of the solar eclipse, because Chiron, representing the wounds and around self-belief and your own abilities, is now being given extra power. So maybe you can have this sense of believing in your own skills, in your own abilities, knowing that you can do things for yourself in the future, which is related to finances and security. So that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity there for you, Pisces. And at the same time, Venus has just moved out of the house of your first house of exaltation, where she's able to bring some beautiful flowing energies. And now she's in a more sort of dynamic, fiery house. She's away from Libra, where she rules. She's in exile, but she's in the house that Mars rules. All of these planets are disposited from Mars. So Venus, representing one-to-one relationships and your values, is now going to be expressing that in a more forthright, airy and fiery, impulsive manner. So you may stand up for yourself a bit more. You may be more assertive around what you need to do in your life for you. And, you know, that might bring a little bit of conflict, but sometimes it's good to stand up for yourself as long as there's balance and mutual respect with others in relationships. And at the same time, we've got this planet Mercury, the messenger of the gods, of the mind, communications, journeys and travels, the magician, the psychopomp, the trickster. He is now going retrograde in this second house from the 1st of April until the 25th of April. So it's not a time to really sign contracts as much, but it's more of a time of going back over things, thinking about the themes related to your security and what you can do in the future, what seeds you can plant, how you can revise your plans, reassess your plans, review your plans. If it's a skill that you feel that can be improved in the future, maybe it's a skill that you got so far in attaining something, and you need to fill in those gaps and go back over those things, or sit an exam, or it's something that you are looking back on with Mercury retrograde there. And I was talking about Mars, the ruler of this solar eclipse. There is a conjunction, as you can see. Mars is applying to conjoin with Saturn in this first house of Pisces. So this happens 2 days before the solar eclipse on the 6th of April and will be in action till the 14th of April, exact on the 10th of April. So these two malefic planets are, Mars wants to push forward and be impulsive. Saturn wants to put on the brakes and say, slow down. So these energies can be a bit frustrating. And sometimes, Mars might feel depleted. You've got the impetus to go ahead, but then the brakes are on. So it's like starting and stopping, with Saturn insisting on taking time to recognize your limitations. So it can feel frustrating, but just work through it and recognize that there is a chance for new beginnings here. And these eclipses will be continuing to happen across the second house, about your own self-worth, your own abilities, and other people's abilities, and how they, shared resources, and how other people view you across these across these axes of your chart, Pisces, for the next year, with the last Libra solar eclipse on the 2nd of October and the last solar eclipse on the 29th of April. So that's me, gone through all of the signs of the zodiac. As I was saying, without seeing a personal birth chart, it's really hard to see exactly how these eclipses are aspecting your personal natal chart. So that's when you can get a much fuller picture. But I hope that it's been helpful to give you an idea of the themes at work for all the different signs of the zodiac. And if you only caught this video, I did interpretations for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer in the first part of the video before my laptop expired. I didn't realize I didn't realize that it wasn't plugged in. I answered the door, came back, and the laptop was off. So sorry that I've got one of these other videos that's in 2 different parts. I was just saying I can't even complain or blame it on Mercury retrograde. Mercury apparently is moving slowly before he goes into the shadow period. But yeah, I think it's just me. But anyway, if you're interested in a reading, I spend hours preparing your chart before I'm sitting with you and going through that. And then I love to share where all of these planetary placements are working for you in your life. The gods and goddesses represent the planets in ancient times. So depending on their position, their dignity, the sign that they're in, the aspects that they're in, whether you belong to a daytime or a nighttime sect chart, all of these are different parts of what makes up astrology. And it just gives you more tools for self-understanding and recognition of where you may have challenges in your life that it's part of your life's karma to overcome in this lifetime, to help you grow as a person with more consciousness, and also where there could be planets of ease and gifts that you have. So when you hear all of these personal things about your own personal chart, which are unique to you, it can really be a gift to use astrology. And as human beings, nothing is predetermined as such. We always have choices to make on our life's paths ahead. For people that aren't really aware of astrology, they might think, oh, I'm not interested in that because I don't believe in that and I think everything's fated. There's a certain amount fated, I believe, because your birth chart shows your natal promise, and it can't get any better than it is in this lifetime. But with self-awareness, it does help us work within our consciousness to walk our path in more power and self-awareness and consciousness. So if you're interested in a reading, get in touch, have a look below. If you'd like to cast your chart using free data, I've got a tutorial. If you go onto my website, there's free videos and blogs where you can see all of my YouTube sharings. So yeah, if you have enjoyed this, I hope it's helpful for you. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in a few weeks' time. Well, even more than a few weeks' time. So I've combined this video with the lunar eclipse on the 25th and the solar eclipse on the 8th. So I'll be back probably for the next full moon, whenever that is. I've not even thought ahead. So thanks for listening. Bye for now.